We all know that aside from good husbandry, giving your snakes enrichment in their enclosures is one of the best things you can do for your snakes. Providing them with a spacious enclosure with lots of places to hide and different textures to feel and different things to smell and explore. These things give them exercise and it also keeps them mentally fit. I think I've done that with all of my snakes' enclosures, but recently I've been asking myself, how can I give them more? And I think the only way I can do that is outside of their enclosures. I've let Jerry free roam outside in the grass a few times, but where I live, there's only certain times of the year where the weather allows me to take him outside. And I've let him roam around my living room some, but I don't want to snake-proof my whole house. There's just too many places and things in my house where a snake could go and get themselves into trouble. I wish I could let them roam around in the reptile room, but this room has more places for a snake to get lost than any room in my house. So I set up a free roaming room for Jerry. My youngest son, Jack, is a junior in college and has his own apartment now, so I guess Jeannie and I are officially empty nesters. I miss him being around the house, but I'm really proud of him too. Anyway, his bedroom is empty now, and it's a perfect place to let Jerry enjoy some time outside of his enclosure. I've pretty much snake-proofed this room and set up all kinds of stuff for Jerry to investigate. There's a twin-size bed that Jerry can climb around on, and I laid out a number of different items around on the ground, including some Amazon boxes with different openings cut into them, and a few odds and ends like some houseplant pots and a crumpled up blanket and one of my favorite hoodies. I wore this hoodie for a day, and I'm curious if he'll recognize my scent on it. Giving your snakes some time to free roam isn't at all crucial for their health or well-being, but it is good for them because it gives them exercise, it lets them stretch out their bodies completely, and it also gives them mental exercise as they decide where they might like to go and check out all the different things that they happen upon. But you do have to use some common sense and make sure that you're keeping an eye on them and letting them roam in a way that is safe. Whether or not letting your snake free roam is a good idea can definitely depend on the size and personality of your snake. I wouldn't let any of my colubrid snakes free roam at all. Even an adult corn snake or king snake is still a slender enough snake to get themselves into all kinds of trouble and potentially get lost. Plus, colubrid snakes are generally very fast-moving snakes, and if they're going to get themselves into trouble, well, they can do it much more quickly than a larger, slow-moving snake like a boa or python. Wherever you let your snakes free roam, you have to snake-proof that area to make sure there aren't any sharp objects that they can get hurt on, holes in the walls, things that might be unsafe, and especially places that your snake might go that would be difficult to get them out of. Snake-proofing one room is one thing, but snake-proofing your entire house is nearly impossible. I don't recommend letting your snake have free run of your entire house. I know some people do that, but I don't think it's a good idea. With the door to this room closed, I don't have to worry about my dogs. If you have other pets like cats or dogs, you need to keep them away from your snake. I've heard people say, my snake is fine around the dog or cat. And I've seen videos of people letting their dog or cat interact with their snake, but it's not a good idea. Snakes can be unpredictable sometimes, and it only takes one time for the dog or cat to go after the snake or vice versa and become a very regrettable situation. My husky, Luna, comes into the reptile room every now and then, and she's usually not very interested in the animals. But not too long ago, she walked past my boa's enclosure, and for whatever reason, Ray got startled and struck at the glass hard, right where Luna's face was. It took me by surprise because it was a little bit out of character for Ray. So I'm a little bit more cautious about the dogs now. So when I use the words free roam, I mean that in a conservative way. Free roaming to me means that the snake is not in my hands or connected to my body in some way. But once the snake is on its own, I monitor its every move and never take my attention off of them. Maybe that's being a little bit overprotective, but if so, I'm glad to be overprotective of my snakes. I'd love to let some of my colubrid snakes have this kind of enrichment outside of their enclosures. At some point, I'm going to set up an enclosed playpen for them, but for now, this is just a special privilege that Jerry gets to enjoy. And I think my boa constrictor, Ray, is still a little bit too small to be given this type of freedom, but he'll definitely get there eventually. And I'm working on something very special for Ray, which you'll see in part 2 of this series, coming very soon.